Okay, class. Let's continue. Okay, so number 10. So this time, definition of effective interest rate. Okay, so as defined in PFRS 9, that's letter A. Okay, so the rate that exactly discounts estimated cash flows, cash receipts, through the expected life of the financial asset to the gross carrying amount of a financial asset. So kaya in-emphasize ko kanina yung gross carrying amount. Iba kasi yung gross dun sa tinatawag na amortized cost. So yung difference nila yung loss allowance. So yung gross CA, that's before deducting the loss allowance. Okay? Now, lagyan mo ng note, yung letter B, that's incorrect kasi dapat gross. Yan, not amortized cost. Kasi pag yung cash flows diniscount, okay, tapos nag-equal dun sa amortized cost, na-consider na dyan yung okay, loss allowance. So, tawag na doon, credit adjusted na. So, ito yung letter C. So, lagyan mo ng note yung C, yan yung credit adjusted effective interest rate. At yung credit adjusted effective interest rate, ginagamit yan kapag yung financial asset impaired, okay, when originated or purchased. So applicable yan doon sa tinatawag na purchased or originated credit impaired FA. So ibig sabihin, initial recognition pa lang, kabibili pa lang, or kaka-originate pa lang, impaired na. So kapag ganun ang situation, ina-adjust yung rate to consider yung loss allowance. Okay? Ito namang letter D, ma-encounter natin yan pagdating natin sa leases. Tawag dyan, incremental borrowing rate. Okay, so again, number 10, letter A. And in computing, okay, effective interest rate, number 11, items to consider. Delta, all of this. So when calculating effective interest rate, an entity shall include, letter A, all fees and points paid or received between parties to the contract that are an integral part of the effective interest rate. Letter B, all other premiums or discounts. And letter C, okay, transaction costs. Yan yung tinatawag na transaction costs. Incremental costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition, issue, or disposal of a financial asset or financial liability. So, transaction cost. So, definition yan of transaction cost. So, in computing effective interest rate, consider all of this. Okay, so to illustrate the next three questions, okay, here's the background. Money Bank granted a loan to a borrower on January 1, 2020. Rate 10%. Payable annually starting December 31, 2020. The loan matures in 5 years. So yung principal payable after 5 years. Yung interest payable annually. Okay? So details of the loan, principal. So merong direct and indirect loan origination cost. Tapos meron ding origination fee. And that's the question in number 12. Ano bang nature niyang origination fees? Okay, origination fees may include compensation for activities such as letter A. And what are those? Yan, 1. Evaluating the borrower's financial condition. evaluating and recording guarantees, collateral, and other security arrangements, negotiating the terms of the instrument, preparing and processing documents, and closing the transaction. Actually, pag inisip mo yung 1 to 4 na yan, kaninong activities yan? Activities yan ng bank. And in the process of doing these activities, gastos yan. Alam mo naman, basta may activity, may gastos yan eh. Now, yung ginagastos ng bangko in doing these activities, yan yung tinatawag na origination cost. Gastos yan, cost yan. Now, para makompensate ang bangko dyan sa ginastos niya, sisingilin niya ngayon si borrower ng origination fee. Diba? Yung mga activities na yan related dun sa loan. So, anong tawag sa gastos? Origination cost. Anong tawag sa siningil ng bangko para makompensate siya sa ginastos niya? Origination fee. Kaya yung cost at yung fee na yan, directly related yan. Okay? And as noted in number 11, okay, so yung origination fee na yan, integral part yan of the loan agreement. Okay? Kaya yung origination fee na yan, kasama yan sa measurement ng loans receivable. And kasama yan pagko-compute na yung effective rate. Okay? And that's the next question. Okay? Number 13. Ano daw dyan ang effective interest rate? Okay? We need to go back to number 10. Balikan nga yung number 10. As defined in PFRS 9, effective interest rate is the rate that exactly discounts estimated cash receipts through the expected life of the financial asset to the gross carrying amount of a financial asset. Therefore, okay, the first step in computing the effective rate is to get the carrying amount, the gross carrying amount of the asset. So pag kinonvert natin yung definition na yan into a formula, kukunin natin yung present value. So discounts daw. So present value of the cash flows. And in this problem, ano yung cash flows na yon? The principal and yung interest. So pag diniscount yung principal and interest, dapat mag-equal siya dun sa gross CA of the receivable. Yung rate na ginamit to discount the cash flows, ang tawag doon, effective interest rate. Okay? Kaya ito muna ang kailangan ma-establish natin, yung gross CA. Okay? So let's get the initial carrying amount. The principal is 4 million. Question, is 10% realistic? Yang 10% ba na yan? Realistic ba yan? Yan na ba yung market rate? Answer? Yes. Dahil silent ang problem, ang assumption dyan, realistic yung 10. At dahil realistic yung 10, actually, kung wala yung origination cost at fee na yan, ang effective rate 10%. Kaya lang, ang measurement kasi ng receivable, hindi lang naman fair value. Fair value plus transaction cost. Okay? At dahil sa transaction cost na yon at origination fee na yan, magbabago yung effective rate. So again, yung 10%, yan na ba ang market rate? Yes. Kaya ibig sabihin yan, yung principal na yan, yan na din ang fair value. So yung principal equal to the fair value. At ano nga ang initial measurement? Fair value plus transaction cost. At ano yung transaction cost? Incremental cost directly related to the loan. So yung origination cost, dalawa, may direct at indirect. So yung direct can be considered as transaction cost. Indirect, exclude yan. Expense yan. So, yun lang direct origination cost. So, incremental cost directly related to the loan. Okay. So, fair value plus transaction cost. Yan. So, fair value plus transaction cost. So, paano naman itong origination fee? As noted again in number 11, dapat i-consider din yan in computing effective rate. So, indirectly, part siya ng carrying amount. So, dahil na-receive yan, minus. Again, para saan nga yung fee na yan? Pang-compensate sa bangko dun sa ginastos niya. Kaya itong dalawa, related yan. So parang lumalabas dyan, gumastos ng amount na yan, naningil ng ganitong amount. So kumita pa yung company dyan. Pero yung kita na yan, hindi outright income. Hindi yan kasi yung typical na processing fee. Kasi kung processing fee lang yan, so pag na-process na, income na yan. So yan ay integral to the effective interest rate. Income din siya pero in the form of interest. Okay? So initially, the CA. So that's the target. Pag diniscount natin itong cash flows, yung principal at interest na yan, dapat itong makuha natin dyan. Okay? So let's now compute the effective rate. So present value of principal. So that is 4 million times the factor. Present value of interest, 4 million times 10% times the factor. Dapat ito ang total. So ang tanong, anong rate ang kailangan natin dyan? Okay? The computation of effective interest rate is trial and error. You guess and then you check. Yan. Guess and check. Okay, approach. At dahil multiple choice, i-try mo lahat. Yan, 4 lang naman yan. Okay? So, isa dyan, makukuha mo ito. Okay? So, yun ang pinakamabilis na paraan. Trial and error yan. Okay? Or, pwede mo rin gamitan ng concept. Okay? So, notice, yung carrying amount lower than the maturity amount. As discussed earlier, kapag yung maturity amount ay higher than the initial amount, anong tawag dyan? Discount. At yung discount na yan, additional interest. Therefore, dahil discount yan, yung effective rate higher than nominal. Kaya kung 10% ang nominal rate, ang sagot dyan dapat mas mataas sa 10. Baka mamaya, isa lang ang mataas sa 10. O, yun na yung answer. Kaya lang, pagtingin mo sa choices, lahat higher than 10%. So, wala tayong ma-eliminate. Kung isa lang sana, no? Okay, dalawa lang yung higher than 10, yun na lang itatry natin. Kaya lang problema, lahat higher. So, itry mo na lahat. Anyway, mabilis lang naman mag-present value computation. So, try everything. Isa dyan dapat makuha mo yung carrying amount. Or, may isa pang technique. Para hindi naman arbitrary lang. So, saan kaya ako mag-start? Sa A, sa B, sa C, sa D? Okay? So, para hindi arbitrary, para at least meron kang logical starting point, pwede mo siya actually ma-estimate. How? Using straight line method. So, paano yan? Let's see. Okay. Kunin mo yung difference. 4 million minus yung carrying amount. So, yung maturity amount, 4 million. Yung initial amount, this one. Yun yung discount. Okay? I-divide mo siya ng 5. So, using straight line method. Straight line, amortization of the discount. So, yung amortization of discount na yan, additional income yan. Then, i-add mo yung nominal interest. Ito yon, yung nominal interest. 4 million times 10%. So, yung amortization of discount at yung nominal interest, that's the total interest income. i-divide mo ng carrying amount. So that will give you the effective rate, kaya lang using straight line method. So at least, meron ka ng starting point. So yan yung ating estimated effective interest rate. So anong ibig sabihin? Yung effective rate, siguro nasa 12 or 13 based on that estimate. So alam na nating higher than 10. So pwede kang mag-start ng 11. Pero kung ginawa mo yung technique na yan, so at least makita mo nasa 12 or 13 siya. Now, let's try. Ang guess ko dyan, 12%. Guess ko lang yun, guess. Oh, let's check our guess. Yan. Guess and check nga eh. Yan. Try natin 12%. At 12%, get the factors. So, tingnan natin kung makukuha natin ito. Okay, at 12%, principal. Interest. So, 12%, 5 periods. So, yung principal, present value of 1. Yung interest, annuity. Okay. Using 12%, total. Notice that's exactly the same as the CA of the asset. The gross carrying amount of the asset. So what does it mean? Confirm yung ating guess. Okay? 12% is the effective interest rate. Okay? So again, ang pag-compute ng effective rate, trial and error siya. At dahil ang exam naman ay multiple choice, again, just trial and error. I-try mo na lang lahat para safe. Magtaka ka nga lang kung wala kang makuha. Actually, ito yung critical. Yan, ito yung critical dyan. Kasi ito yung target mo eh. Target mo na makuha yung amount na yan. Now, pag dito ka nagkamali, yan, pag dyan ka nagkamali sa na-establish mong carrying amount, lahat ng trial mo, sigurado, error. So, hindi mo makukuha yan pagka mali yung carrying amount mo. Okay? Kung tama yung carrying amount mo, isa dyan, sigurado yan, makuha mo yan. Kung gagamit ka ng trial and error. Okay? So, notice medyo mathematics, pero don't worry. Okay? So, bakit ba nagko-compute ng effective rate? Ang dahilan niyan kasi nga nire-require ng IFRS 9 ang effective interest method, the method that produces constant return on the carrying amount of the asset. So nung unang panahon, hindi naman kasi required yung effective interest method. Straight line madalas ang ginagamit. Kaya lang dahil nga na-highlight na yung effective interest method, so in reality, talagang lagi kang magko-compute ng effective rate dahil dyan sa mga transaction cost na yan. Kaya lang, for board exam purposes, magiging mathematics ang exam pagka puro na lang hindi given ang effective rate. So don't worry, usually given yan. Unless yun ang talagang gustong ipakompute sa'yo. Okay? So usually given yung factors, given na mismo yung present value. So parang ang naka-highlight yung accounting, hindi yung mathematics. So just in case lang, ipahanap yung effective rate. Okay? Now, paano naman yung accounting portion? Gawa tayo ng entries. Okay, to record the loan, debit, loans receivable. Credit, cash. So ito yung net outflow. Tapos yung difference, okay, discount. Minsan tawag unearned interest. Pero ako, para hindi tayo ma-confuse sa mga terms na yan, tawagin natin, basta magkaiba yung maturity amount at yung initial amount, tatawagin natin discount or premium to avoid confusion. So, minsan kasi tawag dyan, unearned interest. Kasi nga, pag in-amortize yung discount na yan, interest income. Itong indirect loan origination cost na yan, expense yan. Credit, cash. Okay, now, number 14, carrying amount, December 31, 2020. Alam mo na yan. Ito yung January 1. Paano nga computein ang carrying amount? Same format. Ito rin. Papalitan mo lang itong number of periods. Hindi na siya 5. After 1 year, 4 periods remaining. Okay? So, number 14. Ito rin yung format ha. Palitan mo lang to. Gawin mo lang 4. Okay? So, CA as of December 31, 2020. Again, don't forget that very important concept. So, basta measured at AC using this method, the CA, present value of cash flows. So, the principal and interest at 12%, 4 years remaining. Okay? Answer. So, notice ha. Okay? Hindi. Okay, bago mo ito. Bakit 5 ito? 9 to ha. 9 yan. Okay? So, again ha. basta ang measurement, amortized cost. Tapos gumamit ng effective interest method. So, alam mo na yan. Present value lang yan of cash flows. At yung concept na yan, maraming topics na ma-encounter natin yan. Okay, notes receivable, bonds, investment in bonds, notes payable, bonds payable. Okay, so basta ginamitan ng effective interest method, present value lang yan of cash flows. Okay, now, di ba nga yung carrying amount, pag amortized cost ang measurement, present value of cash flows? So, ibig sabihin, pag nagbago ang cash flows, nagbabago din ang carrying amount. So, yan ang tanda mo. Basta nagbago yung cash flows. Okay? Yung amount or yung timing or both, magbabago yung carrying amount. Kaya in case magkaroon ng modification, magre-recompute ng carrying amount. Yun yung question sa number 15. So, yung tinatawag na modification. Okay? So, number 15. When the contractual cash flows of a financial asset are renegotiated or otherwise modified, and the renegotiation or modification does not result in the recognition. Okay? So, hindi na de-recognize, hindi nag-qualify for the recognition yung modification. Then, in accordance with PFRS 9, an entity shall, A is a correct statement. As I mentioned earlier, dahil nga yung carrying amount ay present value of cash flows, nagbago yung cash flows. Magbabago din ang carrying amount. Kaya ano requirement? Recalculate the gross CA of the financial asset as the present value of the renegotiated or modified contractual cash flows. Discounted at what rate? Original effective interest rate. And since magbabago nga yung gross carrying amount niyan, pag kinompare yan sa existing, may difference. So ito yung letter B. Magre-recognize ng modification, gain or loss. So again, ito yung pinaka-concept dyan. Dapat kasi naka-present value of cash flows. So, pag nagbago itong cash flows na ito, automatic, magbabago yung carrying amount. Kaya kung minodify yung cash flows, magre-recompute ng gross carrying amount. Okay? At yung recalculated gross CA na yan, i-compare ngayon yan doon sa carrying amount before modification. Siyempre, magkaiba yun dahil nga nagkaroon ng modification. Any difference, gain or loss yan. Okay? So, in case of modification na hindi nag-qualify for the recognition of the financial asset. course, pwedeng magkaroon din ng modification because of what? Okay? Financial difficulties. Pagka dahil na yan sa financial difficulties, hindi na yan modification gain or loss. Papasok na dyan yung concept ng impairment. Okay? And that's our next topic. Impairment of loans receivable. Okay?